Greetings, viewers, and welcome back to Just Short of Fantastic. Are you ready to be a hero? Full disclosure, I actually wasn't going to do a vlog at all this month. My weekends got super booked up, and I didn't think I was gonna have time to record or edit, and I also didn't really have a good topic for this month. So I was just gonna say, you know what? There's no vlog in October. Just the stars did not align. But then I got a notification on my phone that the 2023 Haunted Mansion movie was available on Disney Plus over the Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. And I was like, all right, so that seems like an alignment of stars. All right, here's my topic. So relax, foolish mortals, and prepare for a very, very unprepared performance review of Disney's 2023 Haunted Mansion. It's because I really just have a bullet point list of all the main actors in this movie and how delightful they were. But first, let me rewind here and say, so I had absolutely 5% interest in seeing this movie, like ever. I love the Haunted Mansion. It's a great theme park attraction. Everywhere, like in all the Disney resorts, they all have one. My favorite is the one in Hong Kong because it's actually not the Haunted Mansion. It's kind of like its own twist on it. It's called Mystic Manor, and that one's my favorite for reasons. But Haunted Mansion, great, solid Disney classic. It makes sense that they'd want to make a movie about it, and of course we all remember, insert year here, Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion movie, which I've seen it. Like, I have very few memories of it. I remember there being something about, I think, Master Gracie, the owner of the Haunted Mansion, wanting to marry Eddie Murphy's wife for some reason. That movie more like goofy, silly, scary than like actually scary, whereas this 2023 one does have like real moments of tension and terror in it. Like I said, I had 5% interest in seeing it ever until I saw a review from a critic that I really enjoy and respect, and he in his review said that this movie was actually about like adult grief. The main character, Ben, played by Chex Notes, Lakeith Stanfield, it's about his grief and him being, he's an astrophysicist, so I mean, insert stereotypes here, but he doesn't really have a lot of friends. He isn't really socially outgoing, but he meets a woman who gives ghost tours, falls in love with her, they get married, and then, spoiler alert, she dies. So I was very intrigued by the idea of a movie that was about processing grief of a lost loved one, because that is something that I have been struggling with. So my interest immediately went up to, let's say about 35% at that point. So not quite enough to make me make time to get to the theater, but the weekend it was available on Disney Plus, I jumped at it. Yes, it has that in it. It has that element in it. But of course, that's not really like, that's the emotional story, I suppose, is him having to come to terms with that loss and that grief and move on from it. But there's a lot of stuff actually going on unconnected to that, which is where Rosario Dawson and her son, Chase Dillon, Gabby and Travis, where they come in, because they've moved down to New Orleans from New York. They've bought this mansion at a very cheap price. So they move in and they find out that their mansion is haunted. They first bring in a priest who is Owen Wilson, and Owen Wilson just spectacular. No notes. Fantastic. Love him. But then, so they bring in this priest, Owen Wilson, Father Kent. He says, you know what, we need an expert in spirits. So he recommends this guy, Ben, this astrophysicist, who some time ago was written up in the papers as someone who had created a special lens for a camera that could actually allow you to take pictures of ghosts. They bring in the medium Harriet, played by Tiffany Haddish. Again, great. They need to find out about the history of the house and what happened there. So enter Danny DeVito's Professor Bruce. Danny DeVito, always a delight. Always love seeing him. He did great. Those are like the main characters. Of course, there is the Hatbox Ghost, who is the main villain, played by Jared Leto. It's fine. And then there's Jamie Lee Curtis as Madame Leota. And I did not know that Jamie Lee Curtis was in this movie. I mean, that's probably shame on me for not knowing that. But had I known that Jamie Lee Curtis was playing Madame Leota, 55-60% would have been my interest at that point. I didn't do my research. Anyway, but she is amazing. Between holding hands as psychic mediums with Tiffany Haddish in 2023's Haunted Mansion and her love/hate affair with Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once, Jamie Lee Curtis is just having a moment, and I'm here for it. Anyway, Rosario Dawson as a single mother. She's really good. She's a solid part of this movie. But the actor playing her 9-year-old son, Travis, is Chase Dillon. And oh my goodness, this kid, this 9-year-old boy is braver than I will ever be. Because they get to the mansion and it's time to go to sleep. So his mom's like, okay, pick out a bedroom and, you know, get ready to go to bed. He walks into the bride's bedroom. And if you know anything about the Haunted Mansion, then you know who the bride is. If you don't, the bride is a woman who has 4 to 5 husbands, and her whole thing is that she beheaded all of them. So anyway, the bride. This 9-year-old boy walks into a bedroom, and like, I knew it was the bride's bedroom just by seeing the bed. I was like, oh no. But then he turns around and there's like a fireplace, and then there's a giant painting of the bride, and I'm like, we out. No. I'm like, we not spending a night in this bedroom. There's gotta be like 10 other bedrooms. It's a mansion. Just go find a different one. No. This 9-year-old boy sees that painting and he's like, that's kind of creepy. I'm not gonna sleep with that painting watching me. So instead of choosing a different bedroom, because movie's got a movie, he gets up on the mantle of the fireplace and puts a sheet on this giant paint. Like, how did he manage this? Whatever. Movie's got a movie. So he does that, and then he's turned away, rolling out his sleeping bag on the bed, and you just see behind him, like, the sheet is, like, being pulled down a little, and you can hear, like, a woman giggling, and he, like, turns around, and it goes, like, gets pulled tight back over the painting. This happens twice, and then the third time, he turns around, and the sheet has completely fallen, and the woman in the painting is gone. And then he looks over, and he sees her ghost in the corner, and she says, welcome home. And he's just like, what? And then she, like, goes over to another corner, and she's standing there, and then her, like, head starts, like, freaking out. And I'm just like, oh, no. So that sequence, for me, was probably the most terrifying sequence in the movie. It comes fairly early on, which is kind of good because everything after that is, you know, kids horror. It's not really scary. And I will say I appreciate the fact that there weren't any jump scares. There was kind of one, but not really. Not what you would expect in like a true horror or a thriller or slasher movie. So I appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that like the probably the most terrifying thing happens pretty early in the movie. So yeah, this 9-year-old boy has way more courage than I would ever have, because I would have walked into that bedroom, I would have seen that painting, and I would have gone, nope, I am not sleeping in here. What I love about this is that he runs down to find his mom, and he's like, Mom, we can't stay here. This house is haunted. we gotta get out. And she's just like, aw, honey, like, I know it's an old house, it's a little bit creepy, it's dark, but we get some daylight in here, it's gonna be fine. And then there is a suit of armor that we've kind of seen, and it's been real shifty and shady. And you see it, like, when Travis is, like, looking at his mom, it's, like, down the hallway behind her, and then it's, like, getting closer, and then you see, from her perspective, her son, and then the suit of armor is suddenly standing behind her son, and she's just like, nope, we out! And they leave. And then because of movie plot, they end up having to come back. I think that detail is actually really clever. I really enjoyed that. Everyone in this movie was doing a really good job. Love the performances, all really solid. I enjoyed seeing Tiffany Haddish in more of like a dramatic role. She had elements of comedy, but there was more drama to it, and I really enjoyed that. Lakeith Stanfield was really, really good. He did a lot of the emotional lifting in this movie. The special effects were really good. I hope Disney paid their VFX artists real well for this and treated them with dignity and respect. I hope so, because there were a lot of special effects in this movie, and they all looked real good. And also the set. Like, most of this movie takes place in the Haunted Mansion, and the set is so good. Even down to the wallpaper. Everything was just spot on, the details. If you know, you know. Big claps to the set designers, the set builders. Really well done. It's difficult to say that I enjoyed this movie because I didn't. Like, I did. I enjoyed the performances in this movie. I even appreciated most of the story and the emotional stakes in this movie. Although, if you ask me, I feel like it was just Casper. It was just Casper. It was Casper twisted slightly. I don't think I would ever watch this movie again. I thought it was really well casted, it was really well directed, the special effects were great, the sets were great. This movie has a lot of good in it. If you don't mind horror, I would say give it a watch if any of those actors are people that you enjoy watching. Other than that, I really have nothing else to say. In conclusion, it's no hocus pocus. Stayed just short of fantastic.